Now, you've heard about the credit crunch sparked by the subprime mortgage crisis happening right here in the US of A. And there are fears it's going to have a huge effect in Britain. But what is it? And how might it affect us in the UK? And how might Brits benefit from the crunch? I'm on a mission to find out. So what's the credit crunch and what impact has it had? Large investment banks and other financial institutions are concerned about extending lines of credit to lending organisations because of the high rate of mortgage defaults. So there's been a sudden reduction in available loans and credit due to the perceived risk. So how may this affect you in Britain and in other parts of the world? Well, lending organisations at a consumer level are more cautious of how and who they lend to. This means for potential borrowers, there may be some hurdles to overcome to qualify for a mortgage, and you may be required to put down a large deposit. However, you may find some lenders that aren't so stringent. They may charge you a higher rate of interest. But it's not all doom and gloom, and with £1 fetching you around $2 and a number of properties available at knockdown prices, there are some real bargains to be had by UK property investors. And buying in the US isn't as difficult as it seems. Let's go speak to an international banker to find out about the options.
My name is Christian Kramer from Lloyds TSB. I'm the regional director for the US. Essentially, the credit crisis means that credit or money available to lend is more scarce. So a lot of properties in the US are going for bargain prices at the moment, combined with the strength of the pound against the dollar, does mean that if you look at a holiday home in Florida or somewhere else in the US, compared to last year, there's some really good value properties out here. We've seen a lot of people, for example, getting a property valued at $1 million, being able to buy that at $600,000 at the moment. Lloyds TSB International is one of the few banks, in fact we believe the only bank, that does international mortgages. We lend up to 70% of the value of the property or the purchase price. So somebody would have to put down roughly 30% of the equity themselves. They would have to consider which currency to get the mortgage out in, because if you're looking to rent out a property you have bought in the US, you might want to consider having the mortgage in US dollars because you're receiving that rental income.
So now we know it's doable to get financing, I'm off to speak to a realtor, otherwise known as an estate agent.
My name is William Robertson and I'm a real estate agent with Sotheby's International Realty in Los Angeles. In the States, the realtor, there are typically two realtors, one of which represents a seller and one of which represents the buyer. Now the buyer's realtor, his sole purpose is to acquire a property for his client for the best possible price. The great thing about buying property here is that when you make an offer, it's done so in writing, and when that offer is accepted, nobody else can come in and take the property away from you. You have time allotted in order to complete the purchase. You have your financing in place and close the deal. There's no gazumping in the States. A young English lady who's in the entertainment industry, she purchased a house. She, I think, put down about 25% down payment and financed 75%. And upon the completion of that, she purchased an apartment building, a 4-unit block of flats. It's key to find a professional that knows the area. I sell a lot of apartment buildings, so you wouldn't typically want to use an agent who doesn't know about the apartment building market.
So things you need to consider: currency exchange risk, changes in interest rates, and any taxes that you may need to pay if you own property overseas. And if you're looking for a real customized service, I've found just the place.
Well, given this climate, we've seen prices reduce on properties tremendously. For example, the property we currently stand in about a year or so ago would have sold for $600,000 US. Because we've seen somewhere between a 5 to 10% reduction in property value, this property could now be fairly marketed at $540,000. We're Equity Mortgage. We resource properties, meaning that we'll assist with selling properties and or buying properties. But in addition to that, we're able to finance the transaction as well. We'd like to think that our personal and customized feel to our service is what sets us aside from other companies. If you have a social security number and a credit profile established in the States, you can then put a nominal amount of money down and obtain financing. But if you're here on a visa or not living in the States, you still can qualify, but we'll put you on what's called the Easy Qualifier Loan, which means that you put more money down, somewhere from 20 to 30% down. and we verify your income, and your down payment usually qualifies you for it. So anyone that's outside the state, given our current exchange rate, would do well to consider this as a viable market to invest in.
So there you have it. Buying property in the States as a foreigner can happen. And it's a way British property investors can take advantage of what's happening in the US. To save time, money, and to protect your interests, you're best to get yourself a good realtor, which is basically an estate agent or mortgage broker. Realtors get paid if and when the property closes. And in the States, these are licensed individuals who have to operate by strict professional guidelines. I'm Bruce Reynolds, and I'll see you next time on OneMove.tv.